Okay, so looking at this video here, it's open Saskatchewan. We filed a constitutional challenge against lockdown laws. This was posted by Rebel News on January 28th. Now, what I'm going to comment on doesn't really have much to do with this lawsuit, although I very much hope that they're successful. So, what this has to do with is plans that Rebel Media had suggested they would take to allow an event that they were organizing to go on within Saskatchewan's borders. And these were some things that they were offering to do to make sure that the event could still be carried out uh, despite all the COVID measures. Now, this again took place significant a while ago. So you can see here the date that this was filed was September 9th, 2020. So they say beyond this, Rebel Media plans to take other precautions, including providing multiple hand sanitizer stations in the lobby, providing a free mask to every attendee, screening all guests with a portable infrared thermometer, and adjusting the reception and dinner events accordingly. So what I'm going to comment here on, and I'm not going to take a long time to do it, it's going to be fairly quick, is uh, this particular line here, providing multiple hand sanitizer stations in the lobby. So that's what I want to look at, because it seems that everywhere you go right now, there are hand sanitizers all over the place. Everybody is always hassling you, saying you walk into any place and they're like, oh, please use the sanitizer, please sanitize your hands, right? To which I will often either fake it or I will say, no, thank you, I'm okay, and just continue walking by. If they hassle you about it, you can just tell them that you've got your medical exemption because you have sensitive skin, you have a skin condition, you have allergies, and it ultimately will damage your skin. So you can't use the sanitizer. But here's the issue. Uh, with the increased use of sanitizer, okay, we look at things like this. Let's look at 9 side effects of using hand sanitizer, according to doctors. Okay, and this was fact checked by Amelia Palisek. Okay, and I go, okay, great. Who's Amelia Palisek? Well, it turns out that she specializes in human biology and psychology at the University of Albany, and she's also a trained phlebotomist with an interest in genetic counseling. Now, I have no idea what genetic counseling is, but there you have it, right? So, phlebotomy is basically taking blood from people. So that's what she does. So this is the part that I'm most interested in, right? These other things are kind of interesting, but they don't really play a part. So this is what plays a part. So we're going to come here and we're going to scroll down. Oh, look, it can increase your risk of eczema, or eczema as some people pronounce it. They can irritate your skin, yet no crap, of course it can. Oh, look, but now some formulations affect fertility. Some might also cause a resistance to antibiotics. That's always good, right? Use that hand sanitizer, which is ultimately going to make you more susceptible to infection because you won't be able to use the antibiotics that are going to cure infections that you do get. Exposure to triclosan increases the likelihood of bacteria developing resistance to antibiotics, says Dr. Norris. Find one without triclosan. Okay. Whereas some may cause hormone problems. Always nice, right? This causes the bacteria to adapt to its antimicrobial properties, which creates more antibiotic-resistant strains. How wonderful. Some affect your immune system. Oh, that's always great too, right? Always great to put on sanitizer that's going to ultimately compromise your immune function. The weakened immune system makes people more susceptible to allergies. I would also argue that allergies are probably the least important effect to a compromised immune system, and you are going to have a lot more possibilities for infection with strong antibiotic resistant strains. Some can impact body development. Here we go. Look at this. Uh, phthalates, who knows how to pronounce these words? They're endocrine disruptors that can affect human body development and reproduction. Okay, parabens are chemicals that can negatively affect the functioning of hormones, fertility, birth outcomes, and reproductive development. Wonderful. Ah, how lovely. You could get a skin disorder. That's absolutely wonderful as well. Okay, hand sanitizers could lead to alcohol poisoning. Great. So now we're going to check out The downsides, antimicrobial additives can harm your health and the environment. So there are chemicals, triclocarbon and triclosan, TCC, TCS, and ultimately, where are we going here? Research has shown that TCS may play a role in causing bacteria to develop resistance to antibiotics. How wonderful, okay? Now, and then they talk about how soap is actually pretty much just as effective as hand sanitizers, okay? Now, here's my issue with this, okay? When we come to the immune system, okay, how does the immune system work? So here, this is just from hopkinsmedicine.org, okay, and there's basically two systems, it says, okay, the immune system, there's two main parts, the innate immune system, which you're born with, and the adaptive, and that's the one that I'm going to talk about. So the acquired immune system, here we go, and again, this is from Hopkins Medicine. Okay, the acquired immune system, with the help from the innate system, produces cells, antibodies, which protect your body from a specific invader. These are developed by cells called B lymphocytes after the body has been exposed to the invader. So here's the key part, after the body has been exposed. Okay, the antibodies stay in your child's body. It can take several days for these antibodies to develop, but the immune system will ultimately recognize the invader and defend against it. The acquired immune system changes throughout your child's life or throughout any person's life. And the more diseases and the more invaders that we're ultimately exposed to, the more effective our system becomes at fighting off those infections. Now, here's the issue that I see. And I'm no virologist, okay, so keep that in mind. But I am definitely somebody who does not use sanitizers. Okay, I do not believe in them because here's what I see. With such an increased use of sanitizers, when we are operating every day, okay, where people are just slathering themselves on with these sanitizers, the body never has a chance to actually recognize and develop immunities and resistances to the viruses and bacteria and diseases and everything else that are out there. So when they do, okay, great, we've flattened the curve, which they never seem to flatten the curve anyways. But when they finally say, okay, look, we're going to start reopening, and then they reopen, and then there's a spike in infections. And then they're like, we need to shut it down again. Everybody run to your hidey holes, right? Run, run. The Mongols are invading. Okay. When that happens, why do we see such an uptick? I'm not saying it's entirely because obviously opening up and people start getting into contact with each other, you're going to get more transmission of bacteria from person to person. But I think that it is spurred on even more because people do not have the same kind of protection from their natural immune system. So of course they're going to see more spikes because you don't have the ability to fight these bacteria off like you used to anyway. So this is like these self-fulfilling prophecy. If we open up, then people are going to get infected. So we need to shut down and use more sanitizers and protect ourselves more from all this evil bacteria and virus and everything else. But then when they say, okay, great, now we're protected, we're going to open up, we're weaker than we were before. And we are more susceptible to infection. And then they say, nope, we need to shut it down again. Okay. And this is the problem. And this is why stuff like this annoys the hell out of me. People should just say, no, we're not doing it. We are not going to use that sanitizer because ultimately it's making us weaker. But so many people get afraid of the idea of being dirty or bacteria ridden or whatever. And understand, I'm not saying we need to go out there and roll around in pig slop, okay? But general everyday contact with the environment around us will provide us with some level of natural immunity, right? And by operating under this, under the idea that we need to be continually sanitizing ourselves, right? And no matter what we do and where we are, we're always washing our hands. Oh, you touched the door handle, you got to wash your hands or you got to sanitize. Oh, you flushed the toilet. Oh, you touched your steering wheel. Oh, you held a phone. Do you know how dirty those things are? You need to wash your hands. You need to sanitize. This is ridiculous. And ultimately, it's making us weaker. And it will lead to an increase in infections and an inability to fight those infections. That's why these people need to, and I say these people, that's why society in general, I think, really needs to take a second look at what they're doing, right? The people that should be using hand sanitizers are people like doctors who are going into surgery and need to be completely clear of bacteria. Use it in those limited situations. But aside from that, you know, as far as I'm concerned, keep that stuff away from me.